Ladies and gentlemen, life is not always about rushing, competing, or collecting achievements. True success is not measured by what you have, but by how peaceful you feel within. Inner peace is the foundation of happiness, clarity, and strength. Dr. Wayne Dyer once said, "You cannot always control what goes on outside, but you can always control what goes on inside." Today, I will share with you 11 powerful ways to find inner peace that can transform the way you live, think, and experience life. Letting go of things you cannot control is one of the most liberating yet challenging practices you can bring into your life. Most of our stress, unhappiness, and inner conflict come from the attempt to control circumstances, people, and outcomes that are simply beyond our reach. We often believe that if we push harder, think longer, or fight stronger, we can bend life to our will. Yet the truth is that the world operates on a rhythm much larger than our personal desires. And the sooner we recognize this, the more peace we can cultivate within ourselves. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks everywhere you go. Each rock represents a worry, a regret, or a future scenario you cannot control. You carry the weight on your shoulders because you think it's your responsibility, but the reality is that the bag only slows you down, drains your energy, and prevents you from enjoying the journey. The act of letting go is like opening the backpack, removing the rocks, and finally walking freely. Nothing outside of you changes instantly, but your inner world feels lighter, calmer, and more alive. Many people resist this truth because letting go feels like losing control, and human beings crave certainty. We want guarantees, security, and predictability. But life, by its very nature, is uncertain. The weather changes without our permission, people make choices that affect us, opportunities appear and disappear, and the unexpected constantly unfolds. When you attach your happiness to the need to control everything, you set yourself up for endless frustration. On the other hand, when you learn to release the need to control what is uncontrollable, you make room for serenity. You realize that while you cannot control external events, you can always control your internal response. This shift in focus is the beginning of inner peace. Think about how often you replay conversations in your mind, wishing you had said something different or regretting what someone else said to you. That mental loop is an attempt to control the past, but the past is already written. No matter how much energy you spend on it, you cannot rewrite what has already happened. Similarly, the future is another place where our control is limited. We make plans, but life sometimes interrupts them. We expect outcomes, but reality may deliver something entirely different. When you live too much in the future, you try to control situations that don't even exist yet. This is why so many people live in constant anxiety. They are attempting to control the uncontrollable. Peace comes when you stop trying to rewrite yesterday or predict tomorrow and instead place your energy in how you choose to live right now. Letting go does not mean becoming passive or careless. It does not mean you stop making decisions or working toward goals. Instead, it means you do your best with the resources you have while releasing the illusion that you can dictate every outcome. For example, a farmer plants seeds, waters them, and takes care of the soil, but the farmer cannot control the sun, the rain, or the growth process. Worrying about whether the crops will sprout does not make them grow faster. The farmer simply does what is within his control and surrenders the rest to nature. In the same way, we must learn to do our part, show up, make efforts, take responsibility, while releasing the anxiety over what is not in our hands. This balance between effort and surrender is the key to peace. One of the greatest obstacles to letting go is fear. Fear whispers that if you do not hold on tightly, everything will collapse. Fear convinces you that if you don't control others, they will hurt you, disappoint you, or abandon you. Fear makes you believe that if you do not constantly think about a problem, it will never be solved. Yet in reality, the opposite often happens. The tighter you try to grip things, the more they slip away. The more you attempt to control people, the more they resist. The more you obsess over problems, the bigger they grow in your mind. Letting go requires courage because it means trusting life. It means believing that even if things don't happen the way you planned, they can still turn out in ways you never imagined. It means having faith that there is a greater wisdom at work, one that does not require your constant interference. To practice letting go, start with awareness. Notice the situations that trigger your need for control. Do you constantly worry about what others think of you? Do you replay mistakes in your mind, hoping to undo them? Do you feel restless when things don't go exactly as planned? When you catch yourself in these patterns, pause and remind yourself of the truth. I cannot control this, but I can control how I respond. This simple reminder brings you back to your center. Another way to practice letting go is through deep breathing. When you feel the tension of control gripping your body, take slow, conscious breaths. Imagine releasing your worries with every exhale, as though you are emptying your mind of unnecessary clutter. This act is symbolic but powerful, teaching your body and mind to release instead of hold on. Another powerful perspective is to reflect on the impermanence of life. Everything in this world is temporary. Seasons change, people come and go, experiences rise and fall. When you understand this, you stop clinging so tightly. For example, you cannot stop your children from growing up no matter how much you wish to freeze time. You cannot stop loved ones from leaving or passing away. You cannot stop your body from aging. This is not something to fear, but something to accept. By embracing impermanence, you begin to appreciate the present moment for what it is instead of trying to control or preserve it forever. Gratitude becomes natural when you recognize that every moment is fleeting, and you can find peace by simply living in it rather than trying to own it. Relationships are another area where letting go is essential. So many conflicts arise because we attempt to control the actions, feelings, or decisions of others. We want people to think like us, behave according to our expectations, or give us the love we believe we deserve. But every individual has their own path, their own free will, and their own lessons to learn. Trying to control another person is not only impossible, but also destructive. True love and connection can only exist where freedom exists. When you let go of controlling others, you open space for trust, respect, and genuine connection. You realize that your peace does not depend on someone else's choices, but on your own inner stability. Even when it comes to failure and success, letting go plays a vital role. Many people live in fear of failure, trying desperately to control every step to avoid mistakes. But failure is not something to be feared or avoided. It is part of the journey of growth. When you let go of the fear of failing, you allow yourself to take risks, learn, and expand. Similarly, when you let go of the obsession with success, you stop attaching your worth to external achievements. Success then becomes a byproduct of living authentically rather than a constant struggle to prove yourself. This approach allows you to enjoy the process instead of being enslaved by the outcome. Letting go also extends to material possessions. Much of modern life is built on the illusion that happiness can be controlled by owning more, having more, and keeping more. But material things are fragile, temporary, and easily lost. When your peace depends on possessions, it will always be unstable. Letting go of attachment to material things does not mean rejecting them. It simply means you no longer identify your value with them. You can enjoy them without being enslaved by them. This mindset allows you to remain peaceful even if circumstances change, because your inner worth is not tied to external objects. Ultimately, letting go is about freedom. It is the freedom to live without the chains of past regrets, future worries, or uncontrollable circumstances. It is the freedom to act without being paralyzed by fear. It is the freedom to love without trying to control. It is the freedom to experience life as it is, rather than how you think it should be. Inner peace is not found in controlling everything around you, but in releasing the unnecessary burdens and trusting the flow of life. When you let go, you discover that you were never meant to carry the world on your shoulders. You were only meant to live it, moment by moment, with openness and grace. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful gifts you can give yourself, yet it is often misunderstood as something you do for others. In truth, forgiveness is less about the person who hurt you and more about the peace you reclaim within yourself. When you hold on to resentment, anger, or bitterness, it is as though you are drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer. The energy of unforgiveness lives inside your heart and mind, and it slowly eats away at your happiness, your health, and your spirit. To forgive is to free yourself from the prison of the past and open the doors to healing and inner peace. Wayne Dyer often said that forgiveness is the most important tool for living a life of freedom, because without it you are always chained to the wrongs of yesterday. When someone hurts you, whether intentionally or unintentionally, it leaves a wound. Sometimes that wound is small, and sometimes it is deep. Instead of allowing the wound to heal, many people keep picking at it by replaying the event, revisiting the pain, and reminding themselves of how unfair it was. They believe that by holding on to the anger, they are somehow punishing the person who hurt them. But in reality, they are only prolonging their own suffering. Forgiveness is like taking your hand off the wound and allowing it to heal. The scar may remain, but the pain no longer controls you. This is why forgiveness is not about condoning or forgetting what happened. It is not about saying that the behavior was acceptable. Rather, it is about choosing to no longer allow the past to rob you of your present and future peace. One of the biggest reasons people resist forgiveness is because they think it means letting someone off the hook. They believe that if they forgive, they are excusing the harm that was done or opening themselves up to being hurt again. But forgiveness does not mean reconciliation, and it does not mean you have to continue a relationship with someone who is toxic or harmful. Forgiveness is an internal act, not an external contract. It is a decision you make for yourself, regardless of whether the other person ever apologizes or even acknowledges what they did. You may never hear the words, "I'm sorry," but waiting for those words before you allow yourself to heal only gives more power to the one who hurt you. True freedom comes when you release the grip of resentment without needing anything from the other person. Consider how much energy it takes to hold on to anger. Every time you think of the event, your body tightens, your heart rate increases, and your mind replays the story. It is as if you are reliving the pain again and again. This cycle drains your mental and physical health. Scientific studies have even shown that unforgiveness can contribute to stress-related illnesses, high blood pressure, and weakened immune function. On the other hand, forgiveness has been linked to lower stress, improved relationships, and greater overall well-being. So forgiveness is not just a spiritual or emotional act, it is also an act of self-care and health. It is a way of saying, I value my peace and well-being more than I value carrying this heavy burden. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. Many people live with guilt, shame, or regret about things they have done in the past. They punish themselves over and over, as if constantly replaying their mistakes will somehow undo them. But self-forgiveness is just as important as forgiving others. You must understand that you cannot grow if you are chained to guilt. You are not the same person you were when you made that mistake. Life is about learning, and every wrong turn carries a lesson. By forgiving yourself, you acknowledge that you are human, imperfect, and evolving. You release yourself from the prison of self-criticism and open the path to becoming a better version of yourself. Without self-forgiveness, inner peace will always be incomplete, because the enemy you are fighting is not outside but inside. Forgiveness requires empathy and perspective. When you try to see the world through the eyes of the one who hurt you, you may begin to understand their actions. This does not mean you excuse them, but it means you see them as flawed human beings just like yourself. Often hurt people hurt others. Someone who lashes out in anger may be carrying their own wounds, disappointments, or fears. By seeing them in this light, you can soften your heart enough to let go of the bitterness. Again, this does not justify their behavior, but it helps you release the heavy chains of hatred. You realize that everyone is on their own journey of growth, and sometimes people fail miserably along the way. By choosing forgiveness, you choose not to be dragged down by their failure. Another important aspect of forgiveness is timing. It is not always instantaneous. Sometimes the wound is so deep that you need time to process your feelings before you can release them. Forgiveness is not about forcing yourself to say, "It's fine," when it clearly is not. It is about gradually loosening the grip that anger and resentment have on you. It may happen in layers, with each act of forgiveness peeling away a little more of the pain until eventually you are free. You cannot rush this process, but you can commit to it. Every time the memory arises, instead of feeding it with anger, you gently remind yourself, "I choose peace. I choose release." Over time, the memory loses its sting, and you reclaim your power. Forgiveness also has a spiritual dimension. Many traditions teach that to forgive is to align yourself with divine love. When you forgive, you rise above the level of ego, which seeks revenge, and enter the realm of spirit, which seeks healing. You step into a higher consciousness where love and compassion are more powerful than resentment. Dyer often spoke about forgiveness as a way of connecting with your higher self. He explained that your soul does not want to live in hatred, it longs for peace. The ego tells you that forgiveness makes you weak, but the truth is that forgiveness requires incredible strength. It takes far more courage to let go of a grudge than to hold one. It is a victory of the spirit over the ego. In practical terms, you can cultivate forgiveness through daily practices. Meditation, prayer, journaling, or simply sitting quietly with your emotions can help you process your pain and move toward release. Writing a letter to the person who hurt you, even if you never send it, can be a powerful way to express your feelings and then let them go. Visualization can also help. Imagine yourself cutting the invisible cords that tie you to the person or event. See yourself walking away lighter, freer, and at peace. These practices are not about pretending the hurt never happened. They are about choosing not to carry it with you anymore. Forgiveness does not always change the past, but it always changes the future. When you forgive, you stop dragging old wounds into new moments. You stop letting the pain of yesterday shape the possibilities of today. You open yourself up to love, joy, and peace that were previously blocked by resentment. Relationships improve because you no longer interact from a place of bitterness. Your mental clarity increases because your mind is no longer consumed by grudges. Even your physical energy improves because you are not weighed down by emotional baggage. In short, forgiveness is a doorway to freedom in every area of your life. Ultimately, forgiveness is about reclaiming your power. When you refuse to forgive, you give power to the one who hurt you because they continue to occupy space in your heart and mind. But when you forgive, you take back that power. You say, "You no longer control my emotions. I choose peace over pain. I choose freedom over bondage." Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It means remembering without the poison. It means you can think of the event without being consumed by it. It means you have transformed pain into wisdom. And when you reach that point, you discover a deep, unshakable peace that no external event can take away from you. Silence and stillness are treasures in a world that never stops moving, speaking, and demanding. We live in an age of constant noise, notifications buzzing, conversations overlapping, advertisements shouting for our attention, and an endless flow of information coming from every direction. Amidst this chaos, the mind rarely finds a moment to breathe. People are so used to being surrounded by noise that they fear silence, believing it to be emptiness or loneliness. But in truth, silence is not empty. It is full of wisdom, peace, and connection. Stillness is not an activity. It is the fertile ground where clarity and strength are born. When you embrace silence and stillness, you step into a deeper dimension of yourself where the external world cannot disturb your peace. It is in this quiet space that you find your true power. Most people believe that peace can only be achieved when everything around them calms down. They say they will find peace when life slows, when problems resolve, or when the world changes. But the reality is that the world will always have noise, challenges, and distractions. Peace cannot be found outside. It must be cultivated inside. Silence and stillness are the practices that lead you inward, beyond the turbulence of thoughts and emotions, to the unshakable calm that already exists at the core of your being. Just as a lake reflects the beauty of the sky only when its waters are still, your mind can reflect wisdom and clarity only when it learns to rest in silence. Embracing silence does not mean abandoning life or withdrawing completely from the world. It means creating moments in which you turn off the external noise and tune into your inner world. Imagine a person who spends all day surrounded by loud music. After a while, they may not even notice the music, but their body feels tired, their mind restless, and their spirit unsettled. Only when the music stops do they realize how exhausting it was. Similarly, when you step away from constant noise, you realize how much energy you are losing in distraction. Silence becomes a sanctuary where you can recharge, reflect, and reconnect with what truly matters. In silence, you begin to hear the voice of your inner self. This voice is often drowned out by the chatter of daily life. You are constantly told who to be, what to want, and how to act by society, family, and media. But beneath all that conditioning lies your authentic self, waiting to be heard. Silence allows you to strip away the layers of external influence and listen to your own heart. You may discover desires, dreams, or truths that were hidden under the noise. You may find answers to questions you thought were impossible. Many of the greatest insights in history came to people not in moments of chaos, but in moments of stillness. It is no coincidence that philosophers, sages, and visionaries often retreated into silence to gain wisdom. Stillness is equally powerful because it invites you to pause. The modern world glorifies business as if constant activity is proof of value or success. People rush from one task to another, never allowing themselves to stop. But business is not the same as productivity, and activity is not the same as progress. Often in stillness, you realize that much of what you are doing is unnecessary, that many of your worries are illusions, and that your frantic pace is not leading you where you truly want to go. Stillness creates space for reflection, for asking deeper questions. Am I living in alignment with my values? Am I chasing what truly fulfills me? Or am I caught in the race of comparison? Without stillness, you risk running fast in the wrong direction. One of the reasons people fear silence and stillness is because it brings them face to face with themselves. In quiet moments, suppressed emotions rise, unresolved wounds surface, and hidden fears make themselves known. Many prefer noise and distraction because it keeps them from confronting these truths. But true peace cannot come from avoidance. It comes from facing yourself fully. When you sit in stillness, you give yourself the chance to process emotions, to heal, and to integrate experiences. The discomfort that sometimes arises in silence is not a punishment. It is a doorway to growth. It is your soul inviting you to release what no longer serves you and return to balance. Another misconception is that silence means absence. People assume silence means nothing is happening, but in reality, silence is deeply alive. Consider a seed buried in the soil. On the surface, it looks like nothing is happening, but in the silent darkness, the seed is germinating, breaking open, and preparing to grow. Similarly, in your moments of silence, transformation is taking place beneath the surface. Ideas are forming, healing is occurring, and strength is building. Silence is not empty. It is creation in its purest form. Stillness is not stagnation. It is preparation for powerful movement in the right direction. Silence also enhances your connection with others. When you practice silence, you become a better listener. Instead of waiting for your turn to speak, you actually hear what others are saying. Instead of rushing to respond, you allow space for understanding. Relationships improve when you bring the presence of silence, because silence communicates more than words ever could. It communicates respect, presence, and genuine attention. Think of the most comforting moments in life. They are often shared in silence. A hand held during grief, a quiet walk with a friend, a moment of awe watching the sunset together. Silence allows hearts to connect beyond language. Nature is one of the greatest teachers of silence and stillness. Sit by the ocean, and you hear the waves rise and fall in a rhythm that is calming to the soul. Walk in the forest, and you sense the stillness of the trees, standing firm and rooted in silence. Watch the night sky, and you feel the vast stillness of the universe. These natural experiences remind you of the peace that is always available when you align with stillness. They show you that silence is not unnatural, but our original state. It is the state of being before thoughts arise, before words are spoken, before actions are taken. By immersing yourself in nature, you can remember this truth and bring it back into your daily life. In practical terms, cultivating silence and stillness can be done through simple practices. Begin your day with a few minutes of quiet before reaching for your phone or turning on the news. Sit in a comfortable position, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. Notice the thoughts that come, but do not engage with them. Simply let them pass like clouds drifting across the sky. Even a few minutes of this practice can set the tone for a peaceful day. Throughout the day, take small pauses. Instead of rushing from one task to another, stop for a moment, breathe, and reset. In the evening, spend time in silence before sleep, allowing your mind to settle. These small moments of stillness add up and create a foundation of peace. Meditation is one of the most powerful tools for embracing silence and stillness. It trains the mind to step back from constant chatter and rest in awareness. Many people think meditation is about emptying the mind, but it is more about observing the mind without being consumed by it. In meditation, you discover that you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness in which thoughts arise and pass away. This realization brings profound peace. Similarly, mindfulness practices such as eating slowly, walking consciously, or simply paying attention to the present moment invite stillness into ordinary activities. When you are fully present, even washing dishes or sipping tea can become an act of peace. The benefits of silence and stillness ripple into every area of life. Mentally, you gain clarity, creativity, and focus. Problems that once seemed overwhelming begin to untangle themselves because your mind is no longer clouded with noise. Emotionally, you develop resilience and calm. You are less reactive, more compassionate, and more grounded. Physically, your body relaxes, stress hormones decrease, and your health improves. Spiritually, silence and stillness open the door to a deeper connection with your higher self, with the universe, or with whatever you perceive as divine. In silence, you touch the essence of your being, which is pure peace. Ultimately, silence and stillness are not luxuries but necessities. Without them, you live in constant reaction, pulled by the noise of the world. With them, you return to your center, where peace, wisdom, and strength reside. Dyer often spoke about the sacredness of silence, reminding us that in the quiet, we can hear the whispers of the soul. To embrace silence and stillness is to create space for miracles, to discover who you truly are, and to live from a place of inner peace that no external chaos can disturb. It is in silence that you remember you are not just a human doing, but a human being. And in stillness, you discover that you already have everything you were seeking outside: peace, clarity, and freedom. Gratitude and contentment are two of the most transformative forces you can bring into your life, yet they are often overlooked because people are trained to focus on what is missing rather than what is present. The human mind is naturally inclined to chase after more, to want more success, more wealth, more recognition, more possessions. While ambition and growth can be valuable, they can also create an endless cycle of dissatisfaction if not balanced with gratitude. Without gratitude, nothing is ever enough. Even when you achieve what you once desired, the satisfaction quickly fades and your mind shifts to the next pursuit. Gratitude breaks this cycle by grounding you in the reality of abundance that already exists in your life. It shifts your perspective from lack to fulfillment, from complaint to appreciation, and from restlessness to peace. Contentment grows out of gratitude because once you begin to recognize the blessings in your life, you realize that happiness does not come from acquiring more, but from appreciating what is already here. Imagine waking up every morning and immediately focusing on everything that is wrong, what you do not have, what you have not achieved, what others have that you don't. Your energy begins on a note of lack, and everything you see throughout the day reinforces that perspective. Gratitude flips this script. If you start your day by acknowledging even the simplest blessings, the breath in your lungs, the roof over your head, the opportunity to begin again, you begin your day with fullness. That fullness shapes the way you see everything else. Suddenly, challenges feel less overwhelming because you are aware of what is still good and stable in your life. Gratitude does not erase problems, but it prevents them from consuming your entire perspective. It teaches you that even in difficulty, there is something to be thankful for, and that awareness gives you strength. Contentment, often misunderstood as complacency, is not about giving up on dreams or avoiding growth. It is about finding peace in the present moment while still allowing yourself to move forward. Many people delay their happiness by saying, "I'll be happy when I get that promotion, when I buy that house, when I lose that weight, when I find that partner." But happiness postponed is often happiness denied because the moment you reach one milestone, the mind immediately creates another condition. Contentment ends this chase by reminding you that happiness is available right now, independent of conditions. You can still pursue goals, but you do so from a place of wholeness rather than emptiness. Instead of needing external achievements to feel complete, you bring completeness into your pursuits. This shift not only makes you more peaceful, but also more effective, because you are no longer acting out of desperation, but out of genuine inspiration. Gratitude and contentment also help to free you from comparison. One of the greatest sources of inner turmoil comes from measuring yourself against others. In the age of social media, people constantly see curated images of success, beauty, and happiness, and they believe their lives are inadequate in comparison. This endless measuring creates jealousy, insecurity, and dissatisfaction. But gratitude redirects your focus. Instead of looking at what others have, you begin to look at what you already possess. You see your unique journey, your strengths, your blessings. Contentment allows you to step off the treadmill of comparison and rest in the truth that your value is not determined by competing with others, but by living authentically. When you are content, someone else's success does not diminish you. Instead, you can celebrate it because you are secure in your own abundance. Another powerful aspect of gratitude is how it changes your brain and body. Studies in psychology and neuroscience show that practicing gratitude rewires the brain to focus on positivity and abundance. People who regularly express gratitude experience lower levels of stress, better sleep, and improved mental health. Their immune systems function more effectively and their relationships flourish because gratitude creates a foundation of appreciation and kindness. This means gratitude is not just an emotional or spiritual practice. It has tangible, physical benefits that improve your overall quality of life. Contentment similarly calms the nervous system. When you are constantly striving for what you lack, your body remains in a state of tension, as if you are always chasing survival. Contentment signals safety to your body, allowing you to relax, breathe, and live fully in the moment. Gratitude also shifts your relationship with challenges and difficulties. When something goes wrong, the natural reaction is often frustration, anger, or despair. But gratitude teaches you to ask, what can I learn from this? What hidden gift might this situation hold? Sometimes the worst experiences bring the greatest growth. A failure may redirect you toward a better path. A loss may deepen your compassion. A struggle may strengthen your resilience. Gratitude does not mean pretending that pain is pleasant, but it means recognizing that even pain can bring wisdom and transformation. When you look back on your life, you often see that the most difficult seasons shaped you in ways that easy times never could. Gratitude allows you to see those gifts even while you are in the storm, giving you peace in the midst of challenge. Contentment also transforms your relationship with material possessions. Modern culture constantly tells you that happiness lies in buying more. Newer cars, bigger houses, trendier clothes, or the latest technology. But material things can only provide temporary satisfaction. The excitement of something new fades quickly, and then the craving for the next thing begins. Contentment breaks this cycle by reminding you that joy does not come from things, but from how you experience life. When you are content, a simple meal can feel abundant, a small home can feel warm and inviting, and a walk in the park can feel luxurious. You begin to realize that less can truly be more, because your happiness no longer depends on accumulation, but on appreciation. In relationships, gratitude and contentment create harmony. When you focus only on what your partner, friend, or family member lacks, you create tension and dissatisfaction. But when you intentionally notice and appreciate their positive qualities, your connection strengthens. Saying thank you for the small acts of kindness, expressing appreciation for who they are, and acknowledging their presence creates an atmosphere of love and respect. Contentment in relationships also means not expecting another person to complete you. You bring your own wholeness into the relationship, which allows for freedom and genuine love rather than dependency. Gratitude helps you see the gift of having someone in your life, while contentment keeps you from demanding perfection from them. Together, these qualities create lasting bonds of peace. Practicing gratitude and contentment can be simple but life-changing. One powerful practice is keeping a gratitude journal, where you write down 3 to 5 things you are grateful for each day. Over time, this trains your mind to focus on abundance instead of lack. Another practice is pausing throughout the day to notice small blessings, the warmth of the sun, the smile of a stranger, the comfort of your bed. These seemingly small moments accumulate into a deep sense of fulfillment. Contentment can be practiced by intentionally slowing down and savoring what you already have. Instead of rushing through a meal, taste it fully. Instead of constantly seeking entertainment, sit quietly and enjoy the present. Instead of thinking of what is missing in your life, reflect on what is present. These small shifts create a foundation of peace that no external circumstance can shake. One of the most profound realizations gratitude brings is that life itself is a gift. The fact that you are alive, breathing, and experiencing this moment is extraordinary. Millions of tiny processes are working in your body to sustain you. Countless people, directly or indirectly, contribute to your well-being. The farmer who grew your food, the workers who built your home, the teachers who shared knowledge, the loved ones who offered care. When you see life in this light, gratitude becomes your natural state. And when you live in gratitude, contentment follows effortlessly because you recognize that you are already blessed beyond measure. Ultimately, gratitude and contentment are not just practices but ways of being. They shift you from chasing happiness outside to discovering happiness within. They transform your perspective so that you stop waiting for life to be perfect before you allow yourself to feel joy. Instead, you begin to see perfection in the imperfections, beauty in the ordinary, and abundance in what you already have. Wayne Dyer often reminded us that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Gratitude and contentment embody this truth. They allow you to look at your life through the lens of abundance and discover that peace has always been available. It was only hidden by the illusion of lack. When you live with gratitude and contentment, you no longer chase peace outside, you carry it with you in every moment, no matter the circumstance. Life becomes unnecessarily complicated when we allow ourselves to be pulled in 1,000 different directions, chasing too many desires, holding on to too many possessions, and carrying the weight of endless obligations. In a world that constantly tells you to do more, have more, and be more, the idea of simplifying your life may sound unusual, even counterintuitive. Yet the truth is that peace does not come from adding more layers to your life, but from peeling away what is unnecessary. Simplicity is not about deprivation, it is about clarity. It is about recognizing what truly matters and allowing everything else to fall away. When you simplify, you reclaim your energy, your focus, and your joy. You begin to live intentionally rather than reactively, and in doing so, you create space for peace. Most people complicate their lives by trying to keep up with external expectations. Society sends endless messages: own a bigger house, drive a newer car, wear the latest fashion, chase higher positions, and accumulate more wealth. People absorb these messages without questioning them, and before long they are working long hours, drowning in debt, and feeling constant pressure to maintain an image of success. The more they acquire, the heavier the burden becomes, because possessions come with responsibilities, maintenance, and worries. Simplifying your life begins by asking the most important question: does this truly bring me peace, or am I chasing it because the world told me I should? When you start answering honestly, you realize that much of what you pursue is unnecessary, and letting go of it opens a doorway to freedom. Clutter, both physical and mental, is one of the greatest enemies of inner peace. A cluttered home often creates a cluttered mind. Every item you do not need but continue to keep demands a piece of your energy. The same is true of mental clutter. Too many commitments, too many goals, too many thoughts constantly racing through your head. Simplifying your environment and your mind brings a sense of order and calm. Imagine walking into a room with open space, clean surfaces, and only the essentials present. Immediately you feel lighter and more relaxed. Now imagine your mind in the same state, clear, spacious, and focused only on what truly matters. This is the gift of simplicity. But simplifying is not only about decluttering your environment, it is also about decluttering your schedule. Many people confuse business with productivity. They fill their days with endless tasks, meetings, and distractions, yet at the end of the day they feel exhausted and unfulfilled. Simplifying your schedule means learning to say no to what drains you, and yes only to what aligns with your values and priorities. It means recognizing that your time is precious and finite, and you cannot afford to spend it on things that do not matter. By cutting away the non-essential, you create room for what truly enriches your life, whether that is quality time with loved ones, meaningful work, self-care, or moments of rest and reflection. Relationships, too, can benefit from simplification. Many people surround themselves with too many connections that are shallow, toxic, or energy draining. They stay in friendships out of habit, in relationships out of fear, or in social circles out of obligation. But quantity is not the same as quality. Simplifying your relationships means investing in fewer but deeper connections, the ones that truly bring joy, growth, and love into your life. It also means having the courage to step away from relationships that no longer serve your peace. This does not mean closing your heart. It means protecting it from unnecessary turmoil. When you release relationships built on negativity, you create space for relationships built on authenticity. Simplicity also applies to the inner world of your thoughts and emotions. Many people complicate life by overthinking, replaying past events, or worrying endlessly about the future. This constant mental chatter not only robs them of peace, but also prevents them from enjoying the present moment. Simplifying your inner world means learning to quiet the mind, to let go of unnecessary worry, and to return again and again to the here and now. Practices like mindfulness, meditation, and conscious breathing are tools that help in this process. By simplifying your thoughts, you begin to experience life more fully. A simple walk outside, a moment of stillness, or the sound of birds singing becomes deeply fulfilling when your mind is not clouded by unnecessary complexity. One of the greatest truths about simplicity is that it allows you to live in alignment with your values. When life is overly complicated, you often lose sight of what really matters to you. You get so caught up in the noise of expectations that you forget your own priorities. Simplifying is like clearing away the fog so you can see the road clearly. It allows you to align your daily actions with your deeper purpose. If family is what matters most to you, then simplifying may mean spending less time chasing promotions and more time being present with your loved ones. If health is important, it may mean cutting out unhealthy habits and focusing on nourishment and rest. If creativity fulfills you, it may mean reducing distractions so you can devote more time to your passions. By simplifying, you live in integrity with yourself, and that integrity is a source of profound peace. There is also great beauty in learning to appreciate simple pleasures. Modern life often teaches that happiness lies in big achievements or expensive experiences, but the truth is that some of the deepest joys are found in the simplest moments: a quiet morning with a cup of tea, laughter shared with a friend, the sound of rain on the roof, the comfort of a good book, or the feeling of gratitude at the end of the day. When you simplify your life, you sharpen your ability to notice and savor these small blessings. You discover that joy does not require extravagance but awareness. The simpler your life, the more sensitive you become to the richness of each moment. Simplicity is also closely connected to freedom. The more possessions, obligations, and attachments you have, the more tied down you become. You may believe that accumulating more gives you freedom, but in reality, it often creates chains. Every new thing you own requires care, protection, and energy. Every unnecessary commitment drains your time and spirit. By simplifying, you free yourself from these invisible chains. You no longer need to constantly maintain an image, compete with others, or run endlessly after what society calls success. Instead, you are free to live life on your own terms. You are free to follow your passions, free to rest without guilt, and free to focus on what truly matters. Spiritual traditions across the world have long taught the power of simplicity. From monks who live with only what is necessary, to sages who retreat into nature, to teachers who emphasize living with less, the message is consistent: simplicity brings clarity, and clarity brings peace. This does not mean you must give up all your possessions or live a life of extreme minimalism. It means you consciously choose what stays in your life and what goes, guided by the question, does this bring me closer to peace, or does it pull me further away? When you live this way, every decision becomes intentional, and your life becomes a reflection of what you truly value. Simplifying your life requires courage, because it often means going against the current of society. It may mean letting go of things others chase, stepping away from comparisons, or making choices that others do not understand. But the reward is profound inner peace, clarity, and freedom. It is not always easy, but every step you take towards simplicity brings lightness to your soul. You begin to realize that peace is not found in adding more to your life, but in subtracting what no longer serves you. Ultimately, simplifying your life and focusing on what truly matters is about alignment. It is about aligning your outer world with your inner truth. It is about recognizing that you do not need to impress anyone, compete with anyone, or own everything to feel fulfilled. You only need to live authentically, appreciating the abundance already present. Dyer often emphasized that peace is found not in complexity, but in returning to the essentials: love, kindness, presence, and authenticity. By simplifying your life, you create space for these essentials to flourish. You free yourself from the clutter of excess and rediscover the simple, profound truth that peace is not something you must chase. It is something you uncover by letting go. Mindfulness and presence are among the most powerful pathways to inner peace, because they bring you into the only moment that truly exists, the present one. Most of human suffering arises not from what is happening right now, but from the mind's habit of wandering into the past or the future. People torment themselves by reliving old regrets, mistakes, or wounds, or they fill themselves with anxiety by imagining future problems that may never come to pass. In both cases, their minds are everywhere except in the moment they are actually living. Mindfulness is the practice of gently returning again and again to the present, noticing life as it unfolds without judgment, and fully immersing yourself in the experience of now. Presence is the state of being that emerges when you no longer resist or escape the moment, but instead meet it with openness and awareness. Together, mindfulness and presence allow you to step out of the chaos of thought and into the calmness of being. Consider how often your body is in one place but your mind is somewhere else. You may be sitting with a loved one, but instead of listening deeply, you are distracted by your phone, your to-do list, or some worry that has nothing to do with the current moment. You may be walking outside on a beautiful day, yet your mind is consumed by a past conversation or an upcoming deadline. In these moments, life is happening, but you are not truly there to experience it. Presence means reclaiming these moments. It means giving your full attention to what you are doing, who you are with, and what is unfolding right now. When you are present, life becomes richer because you are no longer missing it. You are living it fully. Mindfulness is not about forcing the mind to stop thinking. The mind's nature is to produce thoughts, just as the heart's nature is to beat. But mindfulness teaches you to observe those thoughts instead of being pulled into them. Imagine sitting by a river and watching leaves float downstream. Each leaf is like a thought, some pleasant, some painful, some random. But instead of jumping into the river to chase or fight them, You simply watch them pass. This is mindfulness awareness without attachment. By practicing this, you create space between yourself and your thoughts. You realize that you are not your thoughts, you are the awareness behind them. This realization brings immense peace because it frees you from the endless storm of the mind. Presence also means accepting the moment as it is, without resistance. Much of human frustration comes from wanting the present to be different. You may wish you were somewhere else, doing something else, or living a different reality. But resistance only creates suffering because it pits you against what is. Presence teaches you to meet the moment with openness, even if it is uncomfortable. If you are stuck in traffic, presence means noticing your breath, the feel of the steering wheel, the sky above, rather than drowning in anger about being late. If you are experiencing sadness, presence means allowing yourself to feel it fully instead of pushing it away or pretending it does not exist. When you accept the present moment, you stop fighting reality, and in that surrender, peace arises. Mindfulness also deepens your connection with others. When you are truly present with someone, you give them the gift of your full attention. You listen not just to their words, but to their tone, their emotions, their silences. You stop thinking of your response while they are speaking and instead immerse yourself in understanding them. This kind of presence is rare in today's distracted world, yet it is one of the most powerful ways to build trust, intimacy, and compassion. Relationships flourish when people feel seen, heard, and valued, and mindfulness makes this possible. It transforms conversations into sacred exchanges and strengthens bonds by removing the barriers of distraction. Another dimension of mindfulness is the ability to appreciate small moments that would otherwise pass unnoticed. Most people rush through life as if they are always on their way to somewhere else. They eat meals quickly without tasting them, walk without noticing their surroundings, and go through daily routines on autopilot. Mindfulness awakens you from this sleepwalking. When you eat mindfully, you savor the flavors, textures, and nourishment of each bite. When you walk mindfully, you feel the ground beneath your feet, the rhythm of your steps, the breeze against your skin. When you breathe mindfully, you realize the miracle of air entering and leaving your lungs, sustaining your very life. These seemingly ordinary moments become extraordinary when you are fully present in them. Life becomes more vibrant because you are no longer rushing past it but living inside it. One of the greatest benefits of mindfulness is its ability to reduce anxiety and stress. Anxiety thrives on the future, feeding on what-ifs and imagined scenarios. Stress often arises from juggling too many thoughts at once, none of which are happening in the present. By returning to the present moment, mindfulness pulls you out of the storm of worry. It grounds you in what is real right now, which is almost always manageable. In this way, mindfulness becomes a refuge. No matter how chaotic your circumstances, you can always return to your breath, your senses, and the awareness of now. This return instantly softens anxiety and brings calm to the nervous system. Mindfulness is also a path to self-awareness. By observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment, you begin to notice patterns. You may realize that certain situations trigger anger, certain memories trigger sadness, or certain people trigger insecurity. Instead of being blindly controlled by these reactions, mindfulness allows you to pause and respond consciously. For example, instead of immediately snapping in anger, you notice the rising heat, take a breath, and choose a calmer response. This shift from reaction to response is one of the most profound gifts of mindfulness. It gives you the power to live with intention rather than habit. Spiritual traditions around the world have long emphasized the importance of mindfulness and presence. Whether it is Buddhist meditation, Christian contemplation, Sufi practices, or Taoist stillness, the essence is the same: to quiet the noise of the mind and enter into the fullness of the present. Dyer often spoke about the power of living in the now, reminding us that the present moment is all we ever truly have. The past exists only in memory, the future only in imagination. Life is always now, and when you miss the now, you miss life itself. To live mindfully is to align with the eternal truth of the present moment. Cultivating mindfulness does not require hours of meditation or retreating from the world. It can be practiced in the simplest ways. Begin by paying attention to your breath, the anchor that is always with you. Throughout the day, pause to take a few conscious breaths, noticing the rise and fall of your chest, the air entering and leaving your body. Use ordinary activities as opportunities for mindfulness. When washing dishes, feel the water, notice the bubbles, and be fully present in the task. When walking, be aware of each step instead of rushing. When listening to someone, give them your full attention without distractions. These small practices build the muscle of mindfulness, gradually weaving presence into every aspect of your life. Over time, mindfulness and presence transform not just your inner world, but your outer experience of life. You become more patient because you are no longer rushing through moments. You become more compassionate because you see others with greater clarity. You become more joyful because you are awake to the beauty of life as it unfolds. Even challenges become easier to bear because instead of being overwhelmed by the entirety of a problem, you deal with it moment by moment. Presence teaches you that you do not need to solve your whole life at once. You only need to take care of this breath, this step, this moment. Perhaps the most profound gift of mindfulness and presence is the realization of your own true nature. When you strip away the constant chatter of the mind and the distractions of the external world, what remains is pure awareness, the still, silent presence that is always with you. This awareness is untouched by the ups and downs of life. It is not anxious about the future or burdened by the past. It simply is. When you connect with this awareness, you discover that inner peace is not something you need to create, but something you uncover. It has always been there, waiting beneath the noise of thought. Ultimately, mindfulness and presence are about living fully awake. They are about reclaiming your life from the grip of distraction and remembering that peace is always available in the now. The more you practice, the more you realize that the present moment is not just a fragment of time. It is eternity itself, expressed in this very breath, this very heartbeat, this very awareness. Dyer often reminded us that peace is not something to search for in the distance, but something to embrace here and now. By connecting with your higher self through mindfulness and presence, you align with the deepest truth of your being that you are already whole, already free, and already at peace in this eternal now.